Welcome to Science at Home. So today's lesson is going to be about seasons and why Earth experiences seasons. But I want to back up a moment and kind of revisit our last lesson about rotation and revolution and clarify any misconceptions. So I'm going to move this back so I have a larger space to work with. All right, so I've got my globe here. And not many of you have a globe at home. I did see that some of you do, and you were able to use it in your models. So I want to show you something with the globe. It spins. The spinning models rotation, okay? This is rotating. And some of you were great when you talked about this. You mentioned this, the rotation. And that rotation takes 1 day, 24 hours. It gives us day and night. Now, some of you expressed that when Earth is facing the sun, there is day, and when Earth is not facing the sun, there's night. Let's think about that. Is it really about Earth facing the sun or you, where you are on Earth? Wherever you are on Earth facing the sun, you are experiencing day. Okay, while the other side, where you can't see my hand now, is experiencing night. If we consider the computer screen to be the sun, this side of Earth is experiencing day, while this side back here, where you don't see my hand, is having night. But then it rotates, and that changes. Okay. Now, another misconception is some people said that it rotates from north to south. Well, that would mean this. Okay, and that is not how Earth rotates. When you get into north to south, we're talking about the axis. Now, the axis is that invisible line from North Pole to South Pole on which Earth rotates. In this lesson today, we'll talk about axis again. Because if you look at the globe, it looks tilted. It is. It's not straight up and down, north-south. It's tilted at 23.5 degrees. And we'll talk more about how that causes our seasons. So another thing with many of your models, some of you told me it would spin or you'd use rotate twice when you really meant to revolve. So what I've got here is a little cat toy, and this will represent the moon in this case. And the moon is revolving around Earth. Okay? It is revolving around Earth. That means moving around, going around it. Okay? Earth does the same thing as it moves around the sun. It does not rotate around the sun. It revolves around the sun. So I want to share with you at this time 2 fabulous models made by your classmates. Okay, so the first one will be by Alex from Miss Carrie's class. He does a model with his brother that involves the sun as an orange soccer ball, Earth as a globe like I do, so it can spin, and then a baseball to be the moon. Okay, I'm going to play it at the regular speed, and I'm going to slow it down for you guys to see it again. My second shout out goes to AJ from Miss Jason's class. He also does a great job, uses the proper vocabulary, so I want to share his model as well.
That's what the moon's orbit around the Earth and the Earth's orbit around the sun itself. revolution around the sun takes 365.25 days around the Earth for the Earth. The Earth rotates on its axis every 24 hours, causes day and night.
Weren't those great models? But you know what? They weren't the only ones who did really good models. So I want to give a shout out to also Miss Chasson's class, Gavin. He did it on a whiteboard. So he definitely showed it was stationary, but that's okay. He used the proper terminology and he did both rotation and revolution. And from Dio Conzo's class, there's Tegan and Kai. From Galvin's class, Jordan was very creative using a jewelry box, and Talia also has a really nice model. From Little's class, Vivian, check out her model. And from Norman's class, check out Mayer's model. So kudos to each of you who did both rotation and revolution. So for today's lesson, you're going to need something to write with. You're going to need your journal. Okay, mine's out of reach. Hold on. You're going to need your science journal. Okay, a couple of crayons, maybe to add a little color. Now, the reason I say crayons, not markers, is I found out when I use markers, I can't write on the back of the next page because it kind of bleeds through. So crayons or colored pencils, preferably one in blue, an orange or a yellow, and then a couple other colors. Okay. If you can print this out. Okay. But again, I'm going to show you how you can do all of this without the printout. Okay. If we were in class, this is how I'd have your science notebook look by the end. But I'm going to show you how to do it if we don't have Post-it notes, if we couldn't print out. I will show you how we can do that. Okay, so let's look at the I can statements. So I'm hoping by the end of today's lesson, you can do this. You can explain why Earth experiences seasons. Double underline there. Okay, so it's a short presentation and you're taking some notes, and you can explain to someone else in your family why Earth experiences seasons. Now, for some of you, you don't have to worry about these other I can statements because you already did this work. So I'm kind of throwing this back out there again for those who didn't finish last week's work. Okay, please revisit these concepts. So you can model. I have faith that you can, and now you've just seen 2 examples. You don't have to be as complex as they did, because I asked you to model either rotation or revolution. Okay, Alex and AJ did a great job modeling both. Okay, but I'd like you to share at least one. And where are you going to share it? Well, you can share your understanding. Okay, my marker doesn't want to write. There. We're going to share your understanding in Flipgrid and Google Form. So in Flipgrid, I had 2. One for you to share your model, and the other one for you to share your notebook. Show me what you're doing. And that doesn't mean show me the cover of your notebook. Show me what's inside. Show me that you're doing the work. Okay? And Google Form is just a way of me showing me you know how to use your notes to answer those questions. Okay? We should be getting it all correct, or fairly accurate most of the questions, unless you find the question confusing. Okay? But everyone, because you're using your notes, and if you're following these presentations, you should be able to answer all those questions. Okay, so we're going to walk through a PowerPoint presentation, and there's your heading right at the top of your journal, Earth's Seasons. Okay, Earth's Seasons. And I'm sorry if the image of me ends up blocking a portion of what you're viewing. Okay, so what causes Earth's seasons? Okay, now if we were in class, I would pause this for a moment and have you guys write down your ideas. Okay, so if you want to do that, that'd be great, but I'm still going to move forward. Okay, so we have seasons because Earth is tilted on its axis. I would like you to write that in your notes. So I did just share what the globe looks like. I'll share it again, pointing out the tilt. Okay, so it's not straight up and down, it has a tilt. So the North Pole's here, not at the very top, but it's here. Okay, so it's tilted, and the tilt is approximately 23.5 degrees. Now, if I'm going too fast for you, you may always pause the video, okay, to complete your notes. Okay. So Earth's revolution, remember, revolution means to move around the sun or move around a central object is actually the proper definition. In this case, Earth moves around the sun. So it's the combination of the tilt and our movement around the sun that causes the seasons. And yes, you are copying this as well. One more thing to copy. The axis is the imaginary line from the North Pole to the South Pole. Now, we actually already wrote that definition previously in our notebook, so it's up to you if you wish to copy that again. But we did write that down in our previous lesson. So I've also linked here a video from BrainPop about seasons. So I'm not going to click on that link during this presentation, but you are more than welcome to go to that link. I'm also going to be sharing this presentation with you in Google Classroom. Okay, so I have my definitions written. And now the rest of this might take up 2 pages for all the information we want to add. Okay, so again, I'm going to hold up the other sample notebook. The reason I'm holding this up is if you are able to print things out, you'll see I have more information written underneath a few of these. Okay, so if you aren't able to print out, that's okay. This is when I am going to try to use both pages. And so I'm going to put my sun as close to the middle as possible because that is where the sun is. Okay. I probably could have found a more yellow color, but I'm going to draw my sun in the middle. And there's some other information I want to add about my sun, and I'll have that pop up on the screen. So the sun is the center of our solar system. It appears, doesn't actually move. It appears to move because Earth is rotating. So the other thing I want you to draw is you'll see how I have Earth kind of in 4 different locations all around the sun. And I want you to pay attention to the tilt. Okay, that's important. That's important. So I'm going to draw my blue globe. That's why I grabbed a blue crayon. Blue over here too. I'm sorry if the screen's getting all shaky. And then And the last one's over here. I didn't draw the axis yet, so got another crayon for that. Brown crayon to kind of show the tilted line. Hopefully you guys can see all of that. Okay. So I'm not using the words equinox, solstice, or any of that right now. Okay, those are just some extra terminologies. And you'll see that I have linked a video as well. Those are also brain pops, but I'm not going to share them right now in this presentation. So I just want to point out, summer is when, as we're moving around the sun, there's a time when we're like this, where the northern hemisphere is closer to the sun, or rather pointing towards the sun. Okay, and that's when we experience summer. So I'm not going to write summer solstice in my notebook, but I will write summer over on that left side. And there's some other things I want to highlight with that too. So I'm going to mention it's summer, but I also want you to add the following information, and I'll have it posted up on the screen as I say this. The northern hemisphere, that means hemispheres is the space above the equator or below the equator. So you have the northern hemisphere above the equator and the southern hemisphere below the equator. The northern hemisphere tilts towards the sun. The days are longer. The weather is warmer. And by the way, the southern hemisphere would be experiencing winter. So everything we're marking up on here is in reference to the northern hemisphere because that's where we live. Okay, so let's look at the other side. That's winter. So again, I'm going to share my notes with you so you can see how I'm doing this. I'm just showing you the summer one so you can see it a little bit closer. And now I'm going to do something similar over on the other side that says winter. Okay, like I said, I kind of needed both pages of my notebook for this. So the information will appear on the screen again. I will read this as we're writing. The northern hemisphere tilts away from the sun. The days are shorter. The weather is colder. And if I'm going too fast for you, again, you can pause and the information's on the screen for you to copy. Okay. So right now, this is what our notebook should look like. And I'm going to move on. Again, I did not include the word solstice or equinox, but I do have videos from Brain Pop to help you. So, that's a new word, vernal. Well, guess what? That means spring. So on the one at the top, I'm going to write the word spring. And the one at the bottom, I'm going to write autumn. Yeah, I'm not using the word fall. We do tend to use that word a lot, but I'm going to use the word autumn. So again, showing those two now. Okay, there's nothing more that I'm adding to them. The last thing I want you to include in your notes is the path that Earth is traveling, the path it's taking around the sun. So that elliptical shape, it's called its orbit. And I'm going to use another crayon to draw the arrows. So on my screen, there are the arrows. Now, if you want to include those dates, you may. Those are the approximate dates when we start to talk about the seasons changing. You know, give or take a day or two. So let's revisit our I can statements. So at home, you can explain why Earth experienced seasons, and you have the notes all about it. Now, I'm not asking you to share this with me today, okay? I am asking you, though, if you have not done this already, that you should model rotation and revolution. I just shared two great examples from classmates, and I would like you to share that understanding in Flipgrid. Also share your journal pages of the notes you've been taking, and use your notes to answer questions in Google Form. So I will already have posted which kids don't have to do this again because they've already done it. Okay, but many of you still have to catch up on last week's work. So for those of you who already done it, nice job. I give you a shout out in Google Classroom.